History often turns on a single day, a single choice, a single battle. An empire so vast, so powerful, that its armies stretched across 3 continents. Its soldiers were feared everywhere. Its flag flew over ancient cities like Constantinople, Cairo, Baghdad, and Belgrade. And now that empire, the Ottoman Empire, had set its eyes on one final prize: Vienna. Why Vienna? Because Vienna was the gateway to Europe. Beyond Vienna lay the German states, Italy, and even France. If Vienna fell, the heart of Europe would be wide open, and the Ottomans, with their army of 150,000 men, were determined to take it. Against them stood a city of barely 20,000 defenders, starving, exhausted, and alone. The walls of Vienna trembled under cannon fire. The citizens prayed in fear. Everyone knew the end was coming. The siege and Battle of Vienna took place at Kahlenberg Mountain, near Vienna, on the 12th of September 1683, after the city had been besieged by the Ottoman Empire for 2 months. The battle was fought by the Holy Roman Empire, led by the Habsburg monarchy, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, both under the command of King John III Sobieski, against the Ottomans. The battle marked the first time the Commonwealth and the Holy Roman Empire had cooperated militarily against the Ottomans. How did 80,000 men defeat an army nearly twice their size? What miracle turned despair into victory? To understand this battle, we must go back decades earlier. The Ottoman Empire, stretching from North Africa to the Middle East and deep into Eastern Europe, was the superpower of the 17th century. For centuries, it had pushed steadily westward, capturing Constantinople in 1453, conquering the Balkans, and twice attempting to take Vienna. On 31st March, declaration, sent by Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha on behalf of Mehmed IV, arrived at the imperial court in Vienna. The next day, the forward march of Ottoman army elements began from Edirne in Rumelia. Ottoman troops reached Belgrade by early May. They were joined by a Transylvanian army under Prince Mihaly Apafi and a Hungarian force under Imre Tukali. They laid siege to Győr, and the remaining army of 150,000 moved toward the city of Vienna. About 40,000 Crimean Tatar troops arrived 40 kilometers east of Vienna on the 7th of July, twice as many as the imperial troops in the area. Emperor Leopold fled Vienna for Passau with his court and 60,000 Viennese, while Charles V, Duke of Lorraine, withdrew his force of 20,000 towards Linz. The main Ottoman army arrived at Vienna on the 14th of July. The city's only defense force was now that of Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg's 15,000 men. Saxon engineer Georg Rimpler, who had been employed by the empire to prepare for war with the Turks, began to prepare Vienna for the upcoming siege. Much of Austria's pre-war plans had calculated on fighting the Turks near the city of Győr, a plan made untenable by the Turkish advance. On the other side, the Holy Roman Empire was weak and divided. Emperor Leopold I fled Vienna as the Ottoman army advanced, leaving behind only about 15,000 defenders under Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg. Europe seemed fractured and helpless. Protestants and Catholics distrusted each other, and many rulers hesitated to come to Austria's aid. The Viennese had demolished many of the houses around the city walls and cleared the debris, leaving an empty plain that would expose the Ottomans to defensive fire if they tried to rush into the city. In response to this, Kara Mustafa Pasha would order his forces to dig long lines of trenches directly toward the city, to help protect them from the defenders as they advanced. The Ottoman siege cut virtually all means of food supply into Vienna. Fatigue became so common that von Starhemberg ordered any soldier found asleep on watch to be shot. Increasingly desperate, The forces holding Vienna were on the verge of defeat when, in August, imperial forces under Charles V, Duke of Lorraine, defeated Tokoli at Bisenberg, 5 kilometers northwest of Vienna. During early September, approximately 5,000 experienced Ottoman sappers had repeatedly demolished large portions of the walls between the Berg Bastion, the Lobel Bastion, and the Berg Ravelin, creating gaps of about 12 meters in width. In response to this, the Viennese began digging their own tunnels to intercept the placing of large amounts of gunpowder in the caverns. The Ottomans finally managed to occupy the Berg Ravelin and the low wall nearby on the 8th of September. Anticipating a breach in the city walls, the remaining Viennese prepared to fight in the inner city. On the other side, unknown to Kara Mustafa, help was coming. The Pope, alarmed by the threat, called for a Holy League, a crusade against the Ottomans. The most important ally to answer the call was King Jan III Sobieski of Poland. A brilliant commander and devout Catholic, Sobieski rallied his army and marched to Vienna's aid. His Polish forces joined with German, Austrian, and other European troops, forming a relief army of about 80,000 men. By early September, this Christian coalition was moving rapidly through the hills surrounding Vienna. Time was running out. Inside the city, the Ottomans prepared for their final, decisive assault. The battle started before all units were fully deployed. At 4 a.m. on the 12th of September, the Ottoman army attacked, seeking to interfere with the deployment of Holy League troops. The Germans would be the first to counterattack. Charles of Lorraine moved forward with the imperial army on the left and other imperial forces. It is recorded that the Polish cavalry slowly emerged from a nearby forest to the cheers of onlooking infantry, which had been anticipating their arrival. At 4 p.m., a detachment of 120 hussars engaged in a probing charge, successfully proving Ottoman vulnerability to attack, but taking many casualties. During this action, they would begin to approach the Türkenschanze, which was now threatened by 3 separate forces. At this point, the Ottoman vizier decided to leave this position and retreat to his headquarters in the main camp further south. However, by then, many Ottoman soldiers were already leaving the battlefield. The relief army was now ready for a final push. At around 6 p.m., the Polish king ordered the cavalry to attack in 4 contingents, 3 Polish groups and 1 from the Holy Roman Empire. 18,000 horsemen charged down the hills, the largest cavalry charge in history. Sobieski led the charge at the head of 3,000 Polish heavy lancers, the Winged Hussars. Lipka Tatars, who participated on the Polish side, wore a sprig of straw in their helmets to distinguish them from the Tatars fighting on the Ottoman side. The charge quickly broke the battle lines of the Ottomans, who were already exhausted and demoralized, and would begin to retreat from the battlefield. The sight was terrifying. The Ottoman army, already stretched thin and exhausted from months of siege, broke under the shock. Panic spread. Within hours, the great Ottoman force that had once seemed unstoppable was in full retreat. Vienna was saved. The victory at Vienna was more than just a battle. It marked the turning point in the Ottoman-Habsburg Wars. The Ottomans would never again threaten Central Europe on such a scale. Kara Mustafa Pasha, blamed for the disaster, was executed by the Sultan. His dream of glory ended with a silk cord around his neck. Subscribe to this channel for more historical videos like this.